Now, one of the properties that I was going to talk about today is actually the very first property that I ever bought. When I got into self-storage investing, it was in 2016, 2015, like end of 2015, beginning of 2016. And I was pregnant with Lillian, and we wanted to get into passive income, essentially is what it was. And I was pregnant and I was doing all these rehabs, and I was just like so tired of rehabbing, I couldn't do it anymore. And so we started looking for things to do. And I had raised all this money to do all these rehabs, right? So remember, I'm 100% privately funded. And I just, I met a lot of investors, private investors, and we worked together and did a lot of deals together. And so 2016, and this is back 2016 where storage, like nobody was talking about storage, honestly. Like storage was just one of those things where, you would say, just like nobody was interested in it, honestly. It was like if anybody was in the last up cycle, because I started in the up cycle, so I had actually really not been through a down cycle yet. But I started in the up cycle in 2010. And during that period, there was like so many houses on the market that really it was just like a free-for-all, and all these houses were super cheap, pennies on the dollar. And so, but there was no money. So I really had to get good at raising money and, and get out there and talk to investors. So that's how I got really good, really, at raising money, just because there was no money. So I had to do that. And then up through from 2011 to 2015, I was doing lots of rehabs. And then in 2015, I got pregnant. And that's when I started looking for passive income. I looked at multifamily because multifamily was just coming into the picture in about 2015, 2016. People were starting to talk about multifamily because the first 5 years from 2011 to 2015, nobody was really talking about multifamily because it took such a huge hit, and I looked at a whole bunch of buildings, but all these buildings, they just needed so much work, and I didn't want to do all those rehabs and stuff. I was just so tired of it. And in 2016, nobody was talking about storage. It wasn't even on my radar. I had heard somebody talk about it maybe a couple years ago, and they had said they buy storage facilities, and I was like, it's kind of interesting, but that was it. That was the extent of storage in my life. Until my realtor brought me this deal. So it's my very first deal. And, and I had just told my realtor, because my realtor, see, from 2010 to 2015, this is when you could go on the MLS and you could find property to buy, right? And it was everything was super cheap. And so I had a realtor, his name is Richard, who just got up every day and searched, the areas I was interested for property and just sent me property. And so every day I was just looking at property, I was looking at the things that he sent me, and then I'd go drive over and take a look at them and stuff. And so we formed this really good partnership, and he made a lot of money off me. He made a lot of money because I closed, I would buy the property and sell the property under him. Right. So there's two separate transactions, and I closed in 5 years, over 200 transactions, and he did pretty much all those transactions. So he made a lot of money off of me. And so then I told him when I got pregnant, I was like, I'm not buying houses anymore. And he's flipped out, he's like, what? It's I've been what am I gonna do now? I'm just bought me a brand new truck, And so I was like, look, I'm still going to be in real estate. I'm just not going to be in housing anymore. I just don't want to do rehabs. I was like, so get out there and find me something else to do, because I just don't want to do houses anymore. And so he was bringing me portfolios of houses, rental properties, and he was bringing me multifamily buildings, quads, and even huge big buildings and stuff. This is back when there was so much of that on the MLS. It was super dirt cheap and everything. And then finally he brought me the storage facility. And actually the very first facility that I bought is right behind me. There's this picture right here. So you see it? And so I drove up. So he sent me this. He said, hey, I think I found you something. And this was after like, a couple of months of kind of looking at like portfolios and looking at how like, apartment buildings and stuff. And I just kept saying, I just can't do it. I can't do it. It's too much houses. I'm just tired of it. I was just so tired of houses at that time. And so yeah. So then he said, well, what about storage? And I was like, "Oh, storage, that's kind of interesting. Like what? He's like, well, I found a storage facility. Just, okay, it's been on the market. He said, it's been on the market for 5 years. And this is back when, I mean, honestly, this is back when properties used to sit on the market for like 5 years. I mean, I don't know if anybody's been in real estate, for that long during that time, but crazy, huh? And so I said, well, that kind of intrigued me, so I said, give me the address and I'll drive by. And luckily this property right here, I used to live in Peachtree City, Georgia, if anybody knows Peachtree City, and which is a suburb of Atlanta, south of Atlanta. And this one is in Fayetteville, Georgia, which is like 20 minutes away from my house. It was like perfect location. And I was thinking like, man, I hope this thing works out because that'd be perfect. Like I'd just stay home, hang out with Lillian all day and like play with her and then just like go take care of the storage facility.